How are you today? I have an amazing video for all of you to watch. A very easy shake to make that you can actually freeze in servings, keep it in your freezer, and place it in your fridge or just blend it again. What we have here is soy and almond milk. It can be all almond milk or it can be soy. I mix it because I like to have the protein in the soy. I put everything in the blender. I put a whole bag of greens, and these are leafy greens because it helps me more during digestion if it's leafy greens. Then I'm going to put a banana, a whole box of blueberries, some strawberries, I didn't have a lot, and cinnamon. That's it. I blend, and it's amazing and delicious. If I'm going to add chia seeds, I add them afterwards so that they don't, blend and become all cracked, but they get big and it becomes delicious.
Oh, wow. So you
There we
get
go.
kind of that the chia seeds gel up a little bit and it gives it a nice, smoother. That's fantastic.
Yes, so you can actually leave it with the chia seeds, the serving for the morning, and then in the morning you can eat it with a spoon, or you can just drink it.
Now, if you're using it as a meal replacement and you're breaking this up into 2 or 3 or even 4 servings so that it's, not that much, then make sure you're using soy milk exclusively as the liquid. That way you get enough protein when you cut down the size of the serving. And if it's not a meal replacement, then you wouldn't have to worry about that. And
Right.
if you're wanting to up the calories, you can put in some nut butter in addition to the chia seeds. So let me switch to...
Say something for a second. I use this when I travel and I have a place to do it because when I go out to restaurants, they don't give me enough vegetables. And that way I bring up my vegetables.
Yeah, especially if you're using it to augment a meal, then the protein and the fat content is irrelevant here. It's more about getting as much vegetables into the dose as possible. I was just talking to someone recently who, more than anybody in the 20 years that I've been working with people, just struggles to eat a vegetable. And so we're doing a smoothie like this, so that once a day he's able to get the micronutrients and the antioxidants, which is fine.
Yes.
So I want to share with you, Patricia, and our listeners, my crazy version of this, where I'm trying to max out on the antioxidant content, so turmeric and ginger root and all this other stuff. So here comes this, like research shows that the catechins in green tea and in cacao, that they help heal our mitochondria, our fat burning, and that is likely why they and also bitter melon does the same thing. Why it's associated with a reducing metabolic disease risk, and the beets are the highest food in natural nitrates, which drives nitric oxide production to increase blood flow. And cinnamon, the active compound, increases insulin signaling. So more of what you eat gets into your lean tissues as opposed to overflowing into fat. So there's reasons for the different aspects of this that you could see here from, fats are your omega-3, just like Chef Pachi put into hers. You can add some nut butter if you want. If you've got a high-powered blender, then nuts can go in and it'll pulverize it. If the blender's not quite as strong, you go with nut butter, and then milk or soy milk. And if you're not just trying to replace a meal, then you can use the oat milk and almond milk. It's totally fine. And we've got, these antioxidant sources that I just mentioned, some raw beets, and I put in the same type of greens. I'm not trying to give a plug for Costco here, but they've got a really large, inexpensive, organic, pre-washed kale, spinach, chard mix, and if you put just open it a little to get the air out, you can roll it down, put it in your freezer, and then you just pull it out, unroll it, put a big handful in there. And usually I'll blend the smoothie just for 10 seconds to get the greens down, and I'll put more in. Right. So I'm really trying to max that out, and put in some berries and a banana, just like you saw in the video. Here's by the food group breakdown and the sequence that I'm doing that. If you want to, try it out, just, pause the video. You can snap a shot with your phone, put your, lean your phone up in the kitchen, throw some things together. With the turmeric root and the ginger root and the bitter melon, which is in season right now in the farmers markets. This is summer. It'll be around for a few months. I was told this morning at the market. I wash it, dry it, cut it up into the chunks, put them in freezer bags, and I just pull that bag out, put one of each into the smoothie. What are some modifications that you think people could do for variation in flavor? That's a question I get a lot. I'm making the same smoothie all the time, and I'm really struggling even if it tastes great after a few weeks. Holy moly.
Totally different flavor, and this is the one I use when I'm home and I just want to have like more antioxidants. Is I change the leafy greens for kale and some of those dark green vegetables, and I have half of the container in the blender, just the leaves. Then I add fruit that we have here: mango, papaya, and bananas. So it even changes totally the color, a little bit of cinnamon and a little bit of the other antioxidants, and that's it. Now, the difference between these two for me are, one is a meal replacement, which is the one that has all the soy milk and the kale, and the other one is the been eating out too much. Let's get some nutrients into the body.
Yeah. Have you tried avocado? I know that some people use avocado in smoothies.
I do. I have tried avocado, but it doesn't freeze well. And I like to freeze the smoothies in portions. And that's the other problem. Even banana freeze well, but you just can't freeze it and leave it there in the fridge afterwards because it oxidizes. But I also freeze like the mango and the banana and the papaya. Everything that I buy the whole fruit for everyone to love. Look at this mango.
Beautiful mango.
Oh yeah. So I buy the fruit, and whatever I don't eat, I just freeze. And I have it in one of the bottom parts of my freezer, and I just grab the fruit and I don't have to add any ice. So it's more concentrated within the fruit, but always the difference is the greens. I normally add, for example, if one of my kids, which are very big, but they're childbearing age, come, then I add spinach. Normally I don't add spinach because it's a little tough on my stomach, so I'd rather add some of the other ones. And when I needed all the leafy greens, and I push them all the way down, like you said, and half of the blender is that. So that's it. Like half of the blender is that, quarter of the blender is fruit, and milk to go all the way up to the greens. That's it.
Yeah. So kind of the takeaway here, if you're just, trying to get nutrients, you're putting in the greens. You can put in some of the other things I had, like turmeric root, ginger root, if you want.
Ginger,
and
I also
your micronutrient nourishment, and then you've got a liquid, and you could keep it simple and just have water. It'll be pretty bitter, but you want to add some texture in there. You could use oat milk, almond milk, and you want to sweeten it a bit. You put some fruit. There's antioxidants, of course, in berries. But as soon as you're thinking about, well, hey, let me take an opportunity to get omega-3 and 6 in there, that's where the flax seeds, chia for omega-3, any of the nut butters for your omega-6, then that's an easy way of getting those in for the day. And then if it's a meal replacement, then you want to think about the protein. And that's where the soy milk or the regular milk comes in. And so you kind of build it up in stages depending on what your goal is. Is it just to add some nourishment because I'm eating out a lot? Is is this an opportunity to get some omega fats in? Then you've got that piece. And well, wait, let's use it as a meal replacement. And so then the protein part becomes important as well.
Exactly. Something I was gonna say about the chia seeds and the flax seeds, I normally don't add them there, but I add them to the juice when I'm gonna have it. I don't add it on overnight because it already has enough milk in it. But I'd rather put it after, right when I'm gonna have it, and I keep them in the fridge. So I open the fridge, it's just a tablespoon or two, and it's done.
So guess what happens when you're like me and you're too lazy and you forget that? Here's what happens. The chia seeds turns it into like a gel. And then the next day, instead of drinking it, you have to spoon it in. Now, I don't mind that. It's kind of, I have a good time with it, but it certainly does thicken it up. And if you're using it as a refuel, like a recovery right after high intensity training, plyometrics, strength training, track workouts, then you got to get some glucose. And if you put in like oats to bump up the glucose so that your blood sugar enables your healing, boy, does that fiber thicken it up too. And so if you're doing it for 2 days, whether it's oats because it's a refuel, a recovery refuel, or because you put in the chia seeds and didn't think about it, or both, boy, does that end up gelling up. And it's more like a healthy pudding the next day instead of a smoothie. Because if it doesn't pour, we usually don't call things a smoothie, right?
Exactly. You can do what you said, like add some yogurt and eat it if it becomes a pudding, because
right. Yeah, and so that's what I usually end up doing. Well, Chef Pachi, thank you so much for joining me again on Metabolic Gourmet.
You're always welcome. I love being here. So any questions you have, welcome. See you later.
We're going to put some links. Bye-bye.
Bye.